Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So the water temperatures got a little cold. I'm not too sure what they are right now. So let's just say that surface temperature is like 73 degrees or hovering. And you want to target wahoos and big blackfin tunas and sailfish on a nice calm day, which will be coming up here very soon after this wind blows itself out. So I'm going to put a scenario out there to you guys, and this is something that I like to do myself. So let's say you're planning on going out there this week. You get out there, the water's beautiful purple, but the surface water temperature is 73 degrees, okay? And you want to target wahoo, kingfish, blackfin tunas, and maybe a sailfish, okay? So I ran into this situation a few years ago, and I was out there, I had some trolling rods, and I was just getting my ass kicked as far as the trolling goes. I was running planers deep, nothing. But I wasn't willing to venture out to 600, out to that deeper water to find warmer water. So I had about a dozen goggle eyes in my live well, and I had forgot my downrigger that day. But I had an electric reel, and I was planning on going deep dropping. So what I did was I converted a electric reel over to a downrigger using a downrigger snubber. Okay, it's a rubber snubber. I'll put the link in my show notes of what it is, and I'll show you guys exactly how it's set up in a drawing in the show notes and so forth. So within all my courses now, I'm doing more drawings of the bottom, what's actually happening out there. So you have a little ebook that goes along with the courses. So with that being said, along with the podcast, depending on what type of podcast I'm doing, you'll get some drawings as well. So anyway, so just moving forward, something to look forward to for the 2022 as far as the podcast go and the courses. Okay, so back to the downrigger. The electric reel has the downrigger. Guys, it's very simple. And you can go back to this episode. This is, I think it was like episode 23 of the podcast series. Yeah, it was episode 28 actually. And the title of the episode is How to Use a Deep Drop Rod as a Reel, Deep Drop Rod and Reel as a Downrigger for Targeting Wahoo while Slow Trolling. So in that podcast, I go into the story about how this all came about. But guys, basically it came down to I needed to get a bait down deep. So I modified my downrigger rod that I had. I modified my electric reel rod that I had, and I turned it into a downrigger using a snubber, so that I had that I had on the boat, and it was it worked out pretty badass. I caught some beautiful wahoo that day on that using that system. It's super easy, and I would actually recommend that you guys don't worry about buying a downrigger. I would just use your electric reel. But I have made some modifications since episode 28, okay? So rather than use a standard deep drop rod, I felt I was getting too much, I was getting way too much flex. So what I did in the rod tip and, using a 5-pound weight, it was kind of bouncing all over the place. So what I did was I had Brandon with owner of the Adrenaline Custom Rods, build me a dredge rod, and I took my electric reel, I took the Tanacom bowl, and I attached the Tanacom bowl to the dredge rod. So now I use a dredge rod as the Downrigger Boom, okay? And it's wicked. And what I've also done was I put a swivel rod holder. I put a swivel rod holder in the rod holder that I plan on using the downrigger, so I don't have to move it around too much. I can basically just swivel it back to me when I need to set the bait, and it just works super nice, okay? And one thing that's so awesome about using a electric reel as a downrigger is you can really get your bait set where they need to be. So if you want to set a bait, if you're seeing a thermocline in 80 foot of water and you got the wahoo that are above there, then you can really pinpoint where you need to set that at, okay? Where you need to set your bait so you can really get dialed in. More so than I believe than with a downrigger, because with a downrigger you're using heavy cable, you're using heavier braid, but with an electric reel and a 5-pound weight used as a downrigger, you're kind of like you're really into stealth mode there. And as long as you get your braided line, your 60-pound braid doubled over, and you do it correctly, like I'm going to show you in the show notes as far as how to get the setup done, you're going to be lethal. You're really going to like it, and it's super easy to do. Like I said, all you need is like a dozen goggle eyes. Go spend the $80 or $100. I don't know. Right now, I think I'm paying $120 for gogs, so they're super expensive. But when it comes to wahoo fishing, guys, get up around the Spiegel Grove and get yourself some nice speedos. That's where they're at, and really good numbers right now. You can catch them like down by Conch Reef. They're there, but like I said, they're not guarantees. So if you can get a hold of some cigar minnows, those make great baits for the downrigger, especially for blackfin tunas. Blackfin tunas are not as picky as you think they are. Cigars work really, really nice with those. Cigar minnows live down deep on the downrigger. Guys, fast little blue runners, little jacks make amazing blackfin tuna baits, okay? So, and I'm talking a lot about blackfin tuna because we're going to have a really big push of those come through the Keys here in a few weeks. More than likely around the full moon or right after the full moon, we're going to see some amazing big blackfin tunas push through the not the lower Keys, but off of Alligator Light. So I'll talk about that more in the Good Karma Sport Fishing app fishing reports. So if you haven't downloaded the app, make sure to do that because that's the place where you're going to find the intel. Okay. Guys, I can't stress enough about getting your baits deep. You do not need to buy a downrigger. And I know that because I see it every day that everybody has a Tadacon Bull 1000, okay, for deep dropping. And I cannot begin to tell you how many mutton snappers I have caught in like live baiting in the spring for wahoos in 80 foot of water. I'm like when I have my downrigger set at 80 foot. And what's so great about using an electric reel as a downrigger is in shallow, you can really get your baits dialed in down deep. And what happens is the muttons, they don't feel anything. They just pull that live bait off your slight tension release clip. And I'll show you guys what release clips to use. Very important that you use the right release clip, okay? And the Penn makes the perfect release clip for live baiting using a downrigger. I do not like the Black's clip. You got to get the tension right. The Black's clips have like the salt gets into them. I used to like the Ray Rosher ones, the R&R tackle. I don't like those. I had lots of problems with those after I talked about them in a podcast. But for each their own, they just didn't work for me. So what may work for me may not work for you. So some of you guys may have some really good luck with them. I'm just not having good luck with them off the downrigger. Now off the outriggers, I am having some decent luck with the R&R tackle release clips. So I use Penn has the Penn light tackle. They're like light release clips. I'll put them in my show notes. What to use? They're the blue and color ones. Use those, okay? I've been using those for many years, and I actually use them as a live bait release clip as well out of my outriggers. So when I put goggle eyes on the surface, they have the perfect tension. They work better than the standard telephone wire, copper wire that guys use. I don't like to use that stuff. I just can't get the right tension. The copper wire tends to get blown all over the place, and let's face it, you don't get too many calm days when you're out there sail fishing. So one thing that's great is that I've got this dialed in and I'm sharing it with you guys in hopes that it'll help you guys save money on your setups and fumbling through stuff like I did when I started. And that's the whole purpose behind the podcast, when I started it in the first place, was to help people save money, learn from my mistakes. I mean, come on, man, I made a shitload of them. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please make sure you check out the show notes for this episode, as there will be some images showing you guys some rough setups on how I do it. I just took some images off the boat. Like I said, I don't really have much time to put together a lot of detailed instructions, so I do the best I can with what little time I have to work with. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for more really good tips on how to catch more wahoo here this spring, big blackfin tunas. Make sure that you download the app, because I will be giving you guys some intel on when these big blackfin tunas are going to show up, where they're going to be, and how you can get in on the action. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram, goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys. Make sure you check out my website. I've got a few changes that I'm making. They're going to be really good for the people that are really looking to learn. I really want that resource. So stay tuned. That's all I got. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.